In this video, I'm going to go through event-driven development. We're going to create a custom event handler for a small dummy class that's going to be a game. So what we're going to start by doing is create a game where a person has some health, and then we can decrement that health by taking damage. So let's start off by creating the game class. So like I said, a person within this game has health. So we'll do public integer health, and let's just say we start out with 100. So inside this game, we want to be able to take damage. It's not going to be a very fun game, but at least, that's functionality. So we're going to create a void take damage. And we're going to specify the amount of damage you're going to take. Like so. So when we take damage, we want to decrement the health with the amount. So health. Just done right? No. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a way to listen to whenever this method is being fired. What we start off by doing is create a single method interface, and I'm going to get into why we use a single method interface and not one with more methods. So we're going to create one called damage taken event, like so, and of course it's got to be an interface. And this interface only has one method, like I said, on damage taken. And what we want to know here is what the health was before, and also what it is after the damage was taken. So what we're doing here is we're going to create a damage taken interface that requires a method called onDamageTaken, where we specify the before health and the after. Okay, so if we go back to game, we want the user to be able to actually listen to this event. So if we start out by making a list of listeners, and we do that by creating, in this case, an array list. We're going to call this variable listeners, because this is going to be where you can where all the listeners are going to be accessed. So inside our constructor, we're going to instantiate that. No, not like that. Sorry. Just create a new list. There we go. So now we want the user to actually be able to subscribe to these events. And we do that by creating a new method, which we're going to call add damage taken listener. And this is going to take one parameter. It's going to take an instance of damage taken. And from here it's pretty simple. We're just going to add this listener to the list of listeners. So listeners, add listener. So far so good. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to handle this event. And what that means is that when we take damage, we want to actually let all the listeners know that damage was taken. So we're going to create a loop, and inside this loop we're going to go through the listener inside the listeners list. And for each of those events, the listeners, we're going to fire the method we described within the interface on damage taken. So we know from this method that the before health was going to be health plus the amount, because at this point we've already decremented it. And then we're going to say the new health is equal to health, like so. So now we just need to create a class that implements this interface. Let's call that damage taken listener. And it's going to implement the damage taken event. And it's going to complain because we haven't implemented the actual function. So within this class, we're going to define what happens when this event is fired. So what that means is when we take damage, it's going to go through and into this class. So what do we want to do? Well, in my case, I'm just going to print you took damage before it was before, and now it is after. So this should just be printed whenever the damage is taken. So it looks like we're good to go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the start, our main method. We're going to instantiate the game, like so. We're going to say we want to add a damage taken listener. Remember we created this function a minute ago. And because our class damage taken listener implements the interface, we can now add it as a listener to this method. So what we're gonna do is just gonna do this, and there we go. It's not complaining. And now we can do take damage. Let's just say 25. And whenever this is gonna be fired, let's go into it. We're gonna decrement the health. We're gonna go through the listeners we added. We added the damage taken listener a minute ago. It's gonna go through that list, and for each of the listeners, in this case only one, it's gonna fire off the damage taken event, which in our case will print out this line. So let's see if it works. And there we go. And we can keep on doing this. And every time it's firing our listener. So a little bit ago I talked about a single method interface. And the reason why we're doing this is that we don't actually need to use a whole new class. We can use so-called anonymous functions instead. I'm going to delete this now. And instead we're going to go back in here. It's going to complain, of course. We're going to say we want an anonymous function with two parameters before and after. And we're going to say that we want system out print, and then before it was for, now it is after. And to me this is really useful because most likely you don't need to create a whole new class whenever you just want to fire off an event. This makes it really clean in my opinion, and it's going to work exactly the same. There we go. If we were to add another method just for the sake of it, this would no longer be possible because the anonymous function doesn't know which one of the method has to fire. So if you use one, it knows that this is the one it wants to fire off, and that's why we can do this right away. So like I said, as a programmer, this gives you a lot of power. It allows you to subscribe to events that deep inside your architecture and actually extract a lot of stuff. I hope this video have helped, and yeah, thanks for watching.